I think the new trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3 teases out Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I want to explain why in this video, but I also want to talk about the Filoni-Verse in general. I mean, I remember thinking after The Mandalorian Season 2 that all the shows that John and Dave were going to do were going to tie together, setting up Grand Admiral Thrawn as this huge overarching villain and mastermind behind bringing all of the Imperial remnant together and doing something crazy. I imagined a new version of Heir to the Empire taking place in these shows and potentially even in a movie. But now, 2 years later, Grogu is back with Mando, Luke is doing Jedi stuff completely on his own, Boba Fett is a mayor, the Rangers show has been completely scrapped, and although the Ahsoka show does seem to be dope and have a lot to do with Thrawn, it's seeming like it might be isolated and disconnected from a lot of the other shows. So is the Filoni-Verse still a thing? Is Thrawn as an overarching villain, something like the Thanos of Star Wars, still being set up? We're going to talk about all of that, but first, let's talk Thrawn in The Mandalorian Season 3. There are a couple of different lines in this trailer that I think hint at Thrawn, and most notably, they're coming from Carson Teva, who of course was the Republic starfighter pilot that we've seen in the first and second season. He talks about something going on that's very big. He says something dangerous is happening out there, and by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it will be too late. I also find it really interesting that the initial lines in the trailer are talking about how the Mandalorian people themselves are scattered, and you have Din Djarin asking what his people even stand for. And these two things together could work as foreshadowing as we think Din Djarin may become the leader of all the Mandalorians in Season 3. And if there's really a threat big enough to warrant it, perhaps Din Djarin and his now unified Mandalorian army will help to oppose whatever this big crazy threat is. And I think this all has to do with the idea of the Empire. I mean, the question kind of remains for a lot of characters at this time in the galaxy: is the Empire truly gone? And it seems like many people think the Empire is gone, and whatever is left of them is just a few stormtroopers here and there, perhaps even a few Imperial cells that have avoided detection. But we know that a few of the different Rangers out there, including the Carson Teva character, are on the lookout for something bigger going on. And we also know as fans that the Empire is still active, and the contingency plan put into place by Emperor Palpatine before he died is still actively being pursued by people like the First Order, but possibly even other Imperial cells. Snoke himself is absolutely a part of the Emperor's plans, and of course he says the famous line in Rise of Skywalker that he made Snoke. And so it seems like some of that stuff has been set up in The Mandalorian, and perhaps we'll even learn more about Snoke, the First Order, and things that the Emperor had put into place before he died. So basically, we know that these New Republic starfighter pilots are correct that something bigger is going on. But the only question as far as Thrawn is concerned is if he has anything to do with the First Order and the contingency plans. From what we are hearing in the Ahsoka leaks, Thrawn is in this new place called the New Beyond, and he's seemingly far away from any person in the known Star Wars galaxy, but we also know that he does have operatives working in the known galaxy, like the character of the Magistrate, Morgan Elsbeth, who did have protector droids with the symbol of Thrawn on the side. And it's even rumored that this character, Morgan, is involved in the Night Sisters. This may be a Night Sister herself. And it's even rumored that we're going to meet even more of Thrawn's operatives in the Ahsoka show, characters that are going to be in the known galaxy but still reporting to Thrawn in the New Beyond. So it's possible that even characters like Grogu and Gideon are still connected to Thrawn. I mean, it seems more obvious that they're connected to Snoke and the whole contingency plan being put into place by Emperor Palpatine, and it's possible that that's just what it is. But if they are going to set up Thrawn as this massive big bad, then he has to have some kind of association with Moff Gideon, and it's possible that Thrawn is consolidating power in the New Beyond while also putting things into motion according to the Emperor's wishes as far as his contingency plan. But I'm just not sure if they are actually going to pull the trigger and make Gideon and some of the Snoke stuff in The Mandalorian actually connect to Thrawn. And that brings me to the discussion about the Filoni-Verse in general, because I'm sure that they had some kind of a plan on how they were going to have this all pieced together, but it feels like that plan may have changed. And to be honest with you, we kind of know that the plan has changed, at least to some degree, because the Rangers of the New Republic show, which was also going to be an important piece to the Filoni-Verse, is now gone. The Mandalorian show itself has also been off air for 2 years, and it did kind of have some episodes during the Book of Boba Fett, but a lot of fans, including myself, feel like the Book of Boba Fett was something like a filler show, not really having much to do with any big plan, but essentially buying them some time to figure out what to do with the Filoni-Verse now. And we are hearing that a show, Skeleton Crew, is going to tie into the New Beyond and tie heavily into what's going on in the Ahsoka show. And we also know that Lucasfilm is streamlining the Skeleton Crew show. They want that thing to happen very quickly. There are also some new rumors that John and Dave are producing a new spin-off show, which could line up with the whole Filoni-Verse thing. It could be an extension of what is going on with Thrawn, and you could still see this new canon version of Heir to the Empire taking place. The only thing that I'm curious about is whether or not Din Djarin and Grogu are still going to play a big role in that. I'm almost now getting the sense that The Mandalorian is just going to tell its own story, and it's now just going to be about Bo and Din and perhaps Moff Gideon and some major sequel tie-ins discovering the Emperor's contingency plan and things of that nature. And I'm just not sure that it's still going to tie into Thrawn or what they're doing with Ahsoka, because this concept of the New Beyond seems incredibly isolated, and it almost feels like they've changed their mind in making the Mandalorian show itself a very important piece to this big, wider Heir to the Empire thing. I originally thought maybe Luke was going to be training Grogu, and then all of a sudden Luke figures out that there's this other big threat. He takes Grogu back to Din Djarin, and they all kind of have to team up. And then Luke leads the whole team against Thrawn. But Luke didn't even have the courtesy to bring Grogu back to Tatooine himself. He literally sent him back in an Uber. And it seems like Luke is more interested in building his temple and building up his own new Jedi Order. And again, it feels like Ahsoka was hanging out with everybody for like a hot minute, and all of a sudden she's just gone doing her own thing, going into the New Beyond to stop Thrawn. It also seems really odd that they're streamlining a completely new show that seems to tie into Ahsoka way more than even The Mandalorian Season 3. And all of this just has me thinking it's possible they've simply changed their mind on what shape this huge Filoni-Verse story is actually going to take. Like, it's possible they're going to wrap up The Mandalorian in its 4th season and just leave the characters in a place where they have finally defeated Moff Gideon, so they think they've thwarted the plans of the Emperor's clone coming back, and then Din is just there on Mandalore, and the Mandalorians are rebuilding their home planet. And I just really hope that whatever they are doing with Thrawn is really big and grand in scale. He's such an awesome villain in Star Wars, and I love the idea of him being in this new place, utilizing fallen Jedi and even Night Sister like magic to give him this undead army and all this crazy stuff. I absolutely love it, but I don't want him to just be something that's taken care of in a single season or in a single show. I really do think he has the potential to be that Thanos-like villain, this massive threat that takes over all kinds of shows, properties, comic books, video games, and even eventually movies. And of course, we'll have to watch The Mandalorian Season 3 to see if there is a connection between Gideon and Thrawn, and hopefully there is, and then we can just get excited again about how this is all going to tie together. But I'm just not so sure anymore. But those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section below. Smash a like on this video if you liked it, and make sure you're subscribed to this channel and our live streaming channel because we give away dope nerdy things each and every month. If you want to watch more, why not check out this video I recently did about how I figured out the perfect way to fix the MCU version of the Hulk.